Welcome back to Mr. Nate Books Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Nate. Well, a year ago, a kid's book came out called Mr. Stuffer, Stuffed the Turkey, the Thanksgiving Grandma Never Expected. This kid's book or children's book was the number four in the Mr. Nate Books Kids Collection. And as it came out just about a year ago, a year might seem like eternity for some, especially as 2020 might feel like a really long year for a variety of reasons, I think you all know. And when we think just a year ago, 2019 was not that long ago. It was just a year ago from what is soon to be Thanksgiving. And a year ago, we celebrated our Thanksgiving, and we celebrated by reading this book, or one of the many things that we like to do during Thanksgiving. But we got to read this book with our kids. And it's one of the short ones in the independent books. The first four of the Mr. Nate Books Kids Collection tends to be a little bit shorter in pages, but great, phenomenal illustrations. And then the next books that come, like book number 5, 6, and 7, and 8, that came this year in 2020, tend to be a little bit longer. So when you read them, like this book, you'll read maybe in a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes. Maybe like the new book, Will the Weird Worker, that might be in 7 minutes or 8 minutes, depending how animated you get and how deep you get into reading and discussion. But Mr. Stuffer, Stuff the Turkey, was a book that was created by my kids and I. We have a long list of books that we would love to publish. A lot. Whether we get to them or not, we were able to get this one out. We wanted to create a Thanksgiving book because Thanksgiving books, there had, been a few that were traditional, but sometimes we just wanted to experience some type of humor in the midst of Thanksgiving and create kind of a topical book that doesn't address the issues. It does not address the issues. And I'm not trying to make a pun out of address. But we didn't want to address several different issues that can be brought up during Thanksgiving, right? Not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, nor celebrates Thanksgiving together, right? Families might be apart, or they just might hate one another. People might have friends over, might have certain friends not over. But we wanted to use a book that kind of captured that kind of weirdness, various issues that surround holidays, and bring it to light and make light of it, make some fun of it, because there's more important things to life than feuds or things that blow up, right? Conversations, politics even. We take politics as well as a lot of other things seriously in our household. We certainly do. Because a lot of times politics affects people's lives. The money that they're able to spend or not spend, taxes, regulations, policies, life and death, penalties for things, all the way from the federal government in our nation down to the local levels. But still yet, there's still things that are greater and even more joyful than politics or anything else that could divide a family or a friendship. There's also the situation where there's people that are single, and sometimes they just want to kind of hunker down and be by themselves during a holiday, and sometimes they maximize the holiday or holiday weekend to be with people, or people are just having to work. Needless to say, a great historical holiday can be filled with a lot of stresses and difficulties. And so we wanted to bring a book that people could come around just for a few minutes, maybe to introduce their holiday like we do, and just quickly read through and get to the end with an explosion and an explosion of laughter. That the book serves not just as a topic, but kind of a metaphor. That you can laugh at the explosions. We can laugh at ourselves. We don't have to take ourselves too seriously where we can't laugh at ourselves and see ourselves in a light-hearted way. So Mr. Stuffer Stuffed the Turkey title was a title that literally came up during a dinner time. We try our best as we can to make sure we as a family, we are a big family, seemingly abnormal in our generation today. Our family size is about almost, I guess you can say, close to the family size in our family tree about 100 years ago. So our family size currently is 9. There's a lot of us. 7 kids, 2 adults. We fill a table for sure, especially if we try to go out to a restaurant. When we walk in, people are trying to identify, are you the same group? Sometimes when my wife and I walk up to the counter, either there's a happy look, we're bringing them business, or there's like, oh boy, maybe too much business. Did you guys just come off a charter bus? No, we came out of a large van. But as we even fill, restaurants or whatnot, we're a large presence. So we like dinner time. We like to sit together in our household at dinner time. And as we do that, we talk. We talk about different things. Our dinner times can be quick. They can be long. They can have a variety of things we talk about, from serious things, could be news topics, could be beliefs, who is God? Who is he not? What is Christianity? What is Christianity not? What is this Bible? And so on and so forth. So as we were looking through it, and I was wanting to have a Thanksgiving book, I was really trying to figure out what would be a best title. And I threw it out during our dinner time just about a year and a half ago. And one of my daughters starts just kind of throwing out some ideas, and some, the other kids were throwing out some ideas. And we started to kind of boil down and get to it where somebody was talking about stuffing, and somebody thought of like, oh, what about Mr. Stuffer, naming him Mr. Stuffer? And I thought that flows generally with a concept I was pitching to them. And so then came a narrowing of like, oh, I think Mr. Stuffer Stuffed the Turkey would be the best title for what we were planning on and what I was beginning to manuscript. And so the Mr. Stuffer concept is basically, usually in the Thanksgiving tradition in America, we traditionally believe that as America's beginning, then we had the Pilgrims and we had Indians, which I have just slight Indian blood in me, and a lot more than a senator that I'm not going to mention her name. She espoused that she really didn't have any, but it's no longer Indian, it's Native American. Well, I think it's fine, Indian or Native American. Either way, we started to think about the traditions of America and the Pilgrims and the Indians, and how then there was a meal of Thanksgiving, because really when you learn of the beginnings, it's not mere hostility between Pilgrims and Indians or when they came together to share this meal. When we learn of the Mayflower, the boat that comes over, and the Speedwell that did not come over, it was carrying, I think it's over 100 people. And within that first few months, people are dying when they get here off the Mayflower. So there was a struggle to leave Europe, to leave England, and to get here to America that had yet to become the United States of America. It's just a land of freedom in their mind. Well, there was still hardship. It's not as if they came on a boat and said, "Yay, we're free." No, it's like, there's hardship and death in the first winter, and whoever survived that winter had life, right? They were still living. And so they were going to carry on at that point, and then more people over the years started to come over and fill and populate. And then we get to the tradition of the Thanksgiving time, which is a celebration of life, a celebration of provision, a celebration of unity, a celebration of coming together to share a meal and to share in thanksgiving that the meal would represent, that we're not dead and we don't have to fight and we can learn how to live together. And that's not always the case, right? As if anyone knows history, whether somebody's trying to revise history or not, but the facts are there. Difficulties were there. Death was there. Disease was there. Battle and fighting and murder was there. But when we get to things that become implanted or you can say concreted in our calendar, like Thanksgiving holiday, it becomes a reminder to be thankful. Now, as a Christian and as a Christian author and pastor and teacher, as a Christian, I view Thanksgiving in a kind of a wider scope or deeper scope, you could say, or different, that it's not just about the American heritage, but it's also part of God reminding humanity to always live in thankfulness. That when we follow this God of the Bible and the creator of the world, that he has provided. And the ultimate provision is not mere food or a dead turkey or vegetables. He has provided a greater life through the personal work of Christ, Jesus. And so that's the deeper meaning that we live by and have people over because of, and we don't just share Thanksgiving just to have a meal and to stuff our bellies, but we look to serve, we look to enjoy, we look to give thanks. And what's really fun is when the kids participate in that. And when the turkey has been the meat, the protein, the bird that was used back then to kill and to give life, then we use that. And so we have fun ways, different ways of cooking that meat. And so sometimes you can stuff that turkey, right? You can stuff it. Well, what's interesting is a lot of people just kind of default to traditional stuffing. They're just looking for maybe what their mom did or their grandma or a relative, or maybe now they're searching online for recipes. Well, there's also stories of people stuffing things wrong or leaving things in the turkey that shouldn't be left in, right? Usually if you get a turkey from a store or in a package, they have left the guts basically inside the turkey in a plastic bag of some kind. So you're supposed to take that out. You know, you can do different things with it, but you're supposed to take it out. You don't cook it in there. So what we did with Mr. Stuffer is not just make grandma the stuffer or grandpa or mom and dad, but kind of show an inclusion of children in the Thanksgiving meal making process. Because even when we read in the Bible, let alone look throughout history, the greatest memories around Thanksgiving is not the meal or maybe a sports game that we would watch, but rather it's actually the participation of all those involved. And so it's fun when all those are involved at the meal were there also during the cooking of the meal, the baking of the meal, the preparation, because it's not just we're bringing some food to something as if it's we've prepped it in our own kitchen and, you know, we're distant now from that experience. But actually, the making, the meal prep is part of the great experience of Thanksgiving. You know, you could start the night before, the morning of, and you're preparing the turkey. It could take long. It could take a shorter, different time, depending if you're going to use an oven, a fireplace, even a deep fryer used today. But you start to really understand, wow, if we can include the kids in they're participating, and they're having an experience that will chisel into their memory and into their character for a lifetime. And if you do that constantly every year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, then they grow up learning not just to participate, but then maybe to lead it, to guide and direct. And then if they ever get married and have kids, and they include them in the same process, especially if you can have multi-generational and even neighbors and strangers over and around, you really see that we're making this food not for selfish reasons, but to give. And we're not just to give the meal and our time in preparation for the meal, but we're also then together going to give thanks. We are going to come together in thankfulness. And so there's not complaining. Oh, why do I got to do this? I don't want to do this. Do I have to do this? No, this is an inclusion. Now, you might go through that with kids, but so be it, Let them get messy. Let them get dirty. Let them participate in the meal prep, because it's building relationships. If you got grandparents around, or aunts, uncles, and cousins, it could be really awkward for some. Some are just really weird. Some you might just really want to keep away. I understand boundaries, but if you can, there's a great opportunity that you have to include kids. And when kids are included, you give them the opportunity to make decisions, but also mess up. Get dirty, but learn how to prepare things in a tidy way. It could be serious, but also lighthearted. You can create conversation in the midst of 2 hours of cooking, 4, 6, 12, making the turkey, to making the sides, to making the pies. They're building in a memory system to their thought process, their heart process, and into their skill set. Then they can start to calculate, well, how many people are there and how much resources do we need, and go into the store, or stewarding money. How do we budget? And so as all this came together, from the title of the book, the content, to the real life issues at play, we thought this book would be a great way to encapsulate all of it. Family relationships, the food, the mistakes, the explosiveness of the situation, whether you accidentally put a frozen turkey into a deep fryer, that'll explode. Or maybe you said something wrong about politics, and a conversation explodes. No matter what happens, at the end of the book, the turkey is pumped full by the young Mr. Stuffer that has made this turkey massive. And as it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it's ready to explode. And Grandma was there to kind of let Mr. Stuffer do his thing, but she was going to be positioned to cut the turkey. But this thing is massive and ready to explode, and at the end it explodes in her face and all over everybody else. Well, you could say, well, this mistake led to a disastrous Thanksgiving that many have gone through. Not necessarily a turkey exploding, though that has happened. But it could be a variety of reasons that have created a horrible Thanksgiving. But you know what? At the end of this book, it says, we hysterically laughed and had a delicious meal of exploded turkey and stuffing. It made for one memorable and happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. So you know what? Let's say everything went wrong in your Thanksgiving in 2020. You know what? Let it be an exploded turkey that you look at it and you don't let it weigh you down or twist you around. But you know what? Give a little chuckle, give a little laugh, laugh together, cry together, and have then a deeper sense of a happy Thanksgiving. And I hope that for you. I hope that you would open your home, whether that's an apartment, whether that's a big house, mansion. In 2020, we have tried to stay away from people for health reasons, but you know what? Some people are alone. What a great opportunity we have to be people of Thanksgiving, especially a happy Thanksgiving. I look forward to the next time we get together and to share more about Mr. Nate books as well as other topics, both in the kids collection and education collection, and to receive any notification when the new podcasts come available or become available. You can subscribe to any of the podcast platforms. And I'm going to try to start putting those available on YouTube, but for now it's on Anchor.fm and it's available through them, put on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify. And so therefore subscribe, and every time you subscribe, you receive a notification of the new podcast, but also you are helping the algorithms in the background begin to recommend these podcasts to others, and the podcast can begin to grow, and more good things can happen from that. More books get to kids' hands and families' lives, and we look forward to serving you in the coming months and the time ahead. And until next time, Mr. Nate out.